Okay, this is Math 2, Unit 11, Lesson 3B, using complex numbers. We learned in our last lesson what a complex number is. That's a plus bi. Today we're going to use them to solve like we've been doing. Can you guys, gentlemen, take your hoods off, please? And put your earphones away. Ladies as well. Okay. Today should feel a lot like review. We're going to be completing the square like we've been doing, but now using complex numbers. Let's write this down. Solve for x. Express as complex numbers in simplified radical form. Okay, so we're going to have not all, but some and most of our answers will be complex numbers. Okay, number 1. X squared plus 12x equals negative 45. And it says right here we're going to solve for x. Okay. The only method we have right now to solve for x is factor or complete the square. Everybody hear that? The only method we have right now is factor and complete the square. You don't have to write this down, but right now I just want you listening. If I were to move that 45 over, x squared plus 12x plus 45, would I be able to factor that? Would it be minus minus or plus plus? Plus plus. And what are my factors of 45? 1 and 45. Does 2 go into 45? 3? 3 and what? Does 4? 5? 5 and 9. Anything else? Does 6 go into 45? 7? No? Is that it? Okay, are any of these going to work? Okay, now I heard the 3 and the 15, but that's only if one is negative. Do you guys agree? It would have to be negative 3, positive 15 to get positive 12. Do you guys agree? But what did we just say about our signs? They have to be both positive. So can I use this one here? So that kind of throws things off. So is it factorable? No. I will tell you today that all I want you to do, even though factoring is a tool and we will eventually use it, for today I want you to complete the square. We're going to get that practice over and over. Okay, step 1. We move our constant over to the other side. Is that already done for us? Yes or no? Yes? Okay, so then I put my plus blanks on each side. Because remember, what I add to one side, we must add to the other. And we've been doing this for quite a few days now. Go ahead and take that middle number, divide it by 2, and square. And it gives you your blank. When you guys have it, let me know what you've got. Okay, I heard one person say 36. Does everyone agree with John that it's 36? Yes, because what is half of 12? And 6 times 6 is 36. Okay, so I go on and I double bubble. And can you skip that step if you go straight to quantity squared? What is it double bubble to? Plus plus 6, which is equivalent to x plus 6 quantity squared. Anybody have that worked out? Negative 9. Okay, what do I do next? Take the what of each side? Square root. Now, just earlier in the week, like Monday, if we had something like this, what would we say? No real solution, which is true. There's no real solution, but is there an imaginary solution? And are we allowed here to use imaginary solutions? Complex numbers have imaginary numbers in there. Okay, Square roots and squares undo each other. They're inverse operations. X plus 6 equals plus or minus. You still have to do plus or minus. And ignoring the negative, is 9 a perfect squared? What's the square root of 9? 3. So what's the square root of negative 9? 3i. Make sense? Do you guys see? The only thing we're going to have different today is some of the answers are going to have I. What's the next step? Subtract. Now, I've told you guys before you can put it at the end, but I said eventually there's going to come a time when you can't. This one you would have to put in the front. Let me show you what it's going to look like. Negative 6 plus or minus 3i. The reason is we talked about complex numbers where the a comes first, the non-imaginary piece, and then your bi, your imaginary number. And so you want it like this, negative 6 plus or minus 3i. How many solutions are there? 2. There's 2 in disguise. They're not x-intercepts because imaginary numbers are not x-intercepts, but they are 2 solutions. Does that make sense? Yes? All right. Number 2. X squared plus 8x plus 28 equals 0. I'm going to have you guys try this one on your own. Try it on your own. Can anybody give me the first step? Okay, subtract 28. Go for it. Subtract 28 and continue. If you've forgotten your steps, we have written the steps down before in our notebook. Now I'm going to move this off screen. So does everybody have it down already? Yes? When you're done, and only when you're done, check with the person next to you. If they are not done yet, then give them time to finish. Those of you that have gone far enough, does this one have an I in it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Okay, keep working. Check again with your neighbor. All right. How'd you guys do? When you checked, did your neighbor have the same answer? Kind of close. Were you able to help each other? No? Abraham, why not? You didn't help anybody? You didn't know what you were doing. Tell me where you were stuck. All of it. All of it? Okay. I am not done with it yet. If you gave me this, did anybody get this answer? Okay. Now, it would be wrong if I stopped here, and I will explain why in just a little bit. Okay. So what was the first thing we did? I think John gave us the first step, subtract the 28. Do you guys agree with that? Yes? Do you see my plus blanks on each side? Yes? Carrie, tell me where the 16's coming from, the two 16s on each side. It's written in ink over here. Where did I get it from? What did I do? I did it, the 8, and I cut it in half and then squared it. So 8 cut in half is 4, and 4 times itself is 16. Does that make sense? Okay. And then when we double bubble, does it come out to be x plus 4, yes or no? All right. I remembered my plus and minus. I took the I out as, or the negative out as an I. I moved over the 4. Can anybody tell me why I would get this wrong? Okay, see, well, don't blurt out. Just raise your hands if you know why I would get it wrong. There's only 2 people, 3, 4, 5 that in the class that know. Okay, I need to make sure you guys are paying attention because you're going to mess this up on the test if you're not listening. Diego, tell us why.
You would have to factor the negative 12.
Good. Is 12 a perfect square? But do pairs come out? Yes, so do not forget that. If it's a number that has pairs, you need to work it out. 12 is what? 4 times 3 or 6 times 2. And then 2 and 2, and will the 2 come out? Leaving the 3 behind. Yes or no? Negative 4 plus or minus 2i root 3. Did anybody get all the way that far? Yes.
You put the I behind the 3, not like directly, but like, after the 3.
You're asking if you can, is that what you're saying? So
Not under the,
okay, so I did go over that. So you're asking if you can. Is that what you're asking me?
yes.
Negative 4 plus or minus 2 root 3i, like that.
Yes.
Okay, so do you guys remember what I said about the answer like this?
As long as it's not this really sign, right?
It's what?
As long as it's not like in or next,
Right. Okay, yes, you are correct. So first off, the way he's suggesting, is that the correct mathematical way to write it? Technically, yes, it is. Why do I not have you write it the correct mathematical way? Because kids get messy here and I can't tell if the I is inside outside. That was why. So this way up here, but if you write it this way and I can tell you're okay, but you're running the chance of being sloppy and then getting points taken off. Okay, are we good? But I'm glad he brought this up because if you get this on a test and a multiple choice answer has this, should you know that those two things are the same? Yes. This way is actually the correct way, the one here. All right. Next one. Now, some of you said you didn't even know where to start. Does it make sense now that we've done another one together? Yeah? All right, try this next one. X squared minus 10x plus 7 equals 0. Get to work. Max, write it down, please. I'm going to take this off the screen, so make sure you get it down quickly. X squared minus 10x plus 7 equals 0. Write it down, work it out, and then check with the people sitting next to you. Yes. If it's what? What do you mean if it's plus when you square root? Let me come over. Guys, those of you that have gotten far enough, does this one come out with an I?
No.
This one does not have an I. So double check your work. There's no I in this one.
I don't know, but I can't
No, well, that's what the question is. Yeah, I don't think there's that.
Okay, let me go over that because that was the same question we had that John had. Guys, I do want to go over something really quick because this question has come up a few times, not just today either. Listening right here. I haven't finished, but does everyone have at least that there coming up to be 18? Okay, right here, the question that has come up is how do I factor when that's a minus and that's a plus? This first one always guides me. What does this tell me about my two signs? Same or different? Same. When I complete the square, will the two signs always have to be the same? Yes or no? Yes. What is it in this case? Plus plus or minus minus? So it's minus 5 minus 5. Does that multiply to positive 25? And when you do the inside outside, does it add up to negative 10? Yes. Okay, so make sure these up here that we saw for just today have been plus plus and plus plus because this first term here was positive. Here it's minus minus because the first term is negative. And people always ask, is this always going to be positive plus blank plus blank plus blank? Yes. Because to complete the square, the two signs have to be the same, minus minus or plus plus. Okay. Those of you that have gotten this far or further, what do we do to both sides? Square root, undo, undo. X minus 5 equals root 18 or plus or minus. And why would I get it wrong if I stopped there? Can 18 break down into pairs? Anybody tell me what 18 breaks down into? 6 and 3, and 6 is 2 and 3, what's going to come out? 3, what's staying in? 2. So I'm going to have plus or minus 3 root 2. Do you guys see how that worked? 3 comes out, 2 stays in. What's the last step? At the 5. And this one, if you wanted to put the 5 at the end, you could. I never do. I always write it like this. 5 plus or minus 3 root 2. Did anybody finish it before me and get that same answer? Good, good, good. Big concept on the test. Okay. Questions before I move on. Now, again, did this feel a lot like review? Have we been completing the square for a while? Yes. The only new thing is now there's imaginary solutions. Yes. Can anyone answer that? Why did these two have an I? That's a really good question. And why was there no I here? Yes. Right here, he is correct. Negative 45 plus 36 is negative 9. And the square root of a negative has an I. Good question. And right here, negative 28 plus 16 is negative 12. Again, square root of a negative has an imaginary solution. But what's negative 7 plus positive 25? Positive or negative 18? Positive. And when you square root a positive, is there an I? No. Does that make sense? Okay. Next piece, review. We are going to simplify. Number 1, 6 plus 2i in parentheses minus parentheses 4 minus 7i. Double distribution, yes or no? I see two parentheses. Double distribution, yes or no? No. How can we tell what's right in the middle? A negative sign. So what are we going to do with that negative sign before I drop the parentheses? Distribute. Distribute your negative and then drop the parentheses. Don't forget to drop, because I have a lot of kids distribute, leave the parentheses there, and then do a double distribution. Do not do that to yourself. Distribute and drop. What are my like terms here? 6 and what? And what does that add up to? And then 2i and 7i adds up to what? What is it? 9i, not 9i squared. Do you agree? We're not multiplying, we're adding. When you're adding, your i's stay I. 2i plus 7i is 9i. So this here is your complex number answer. Questions? All right, number 2. 4i times 7i. This review here is, these are all typical test questions that you will see. As well as right here, this review I'm doing are typical quiz questions you're going to see tomorrow. So this review is preparing you for tomorrow's quiz as well. Tomorrow's quiz will go up to lesson 3A, 11.1, 11.2, and 11.3A. Got it? Which is what I'm reviewing right here. Okay, what's 4 times 7? 28, and then what's I times I? And should we all remember what I squared is? I squared is what? I squared is -1. That is something we all need to eventually have memorized. I is just I. Kids often ask, well, what's I? It's just I. It's okay to leave I as I. Okay, so I have 28 times -1. What's my final answer? -28. Yes. Number 3. Six I times 3i times 5i. Six times 3 is 18. Does anybody know what 18 times 5 is? 90. And it's 90 what? I cubed. Is it okay to leave your answer as I cubed? No. Choices. Because it's small, do you want to do I squared times I, or do you want to do the I1 chart and see what it is? I1. That's a good idea, because the next one might be bigger. Okay, so I'm going to write it here. Is everybody ready? I to the first, I to the second, I to the third, I to the fourth, where there are only 4 of them. Okay, and what was the little chant that we gave? What was it? I1 with the negatives sandwiched in the middle, right there. Okay, so what is I to the third? -I. So 90 times -I is 90i or -90i? Ladies, -90i. And is it okay to have an answer with I? Yes, I squared, I cubed, I to any other power is not allowed, but just I or I to the first is perfectly fine. Okay, I'm going to actually squeeze number 4 down here. 2i to the 5th. You have choices. You could write out 2i times 2i times 2i times 2i times 2i 5 times and multiply. But because there is no plus or minus sign inside the parentheses, am I allowed to distribute that exponent? Yes. Why? Because there's no what inside the parentheses? Plus or minus. So you're going to distribute, you're going to have 2 to what power? What power? 2 to the 5th and I to the 5th, because you distribute to both. Okay, does anybody have 2 to the 5th memorized?
32.
32. That is one you eventually want to have memorized. 2 to the 5th is 32. I to the 5th. Do I have I to the 5th on my chart? Okay, so is it I? Guys, because 5 is a small number, is it easy to just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yes? Even 10, I would just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so with 5, we just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is I to the 5th? So 32I. Okay. Or you could divide. What's 5 divided by 4? 1 with the remainder of 1, and this was your remainder 1. Got it? Okay, number 5. Three plus 5I quantity squared. Now, remember what I just said on number 4. On this one, is it okay to distribute the exponent? Why was I allowed to on number 4, but I cannot do it on number 5? Because there's a plus or minus inside the parentheses. If it's a binomial, trinomial, or anything larger than a monomial, I'm not allowed to. 3 plus 5I times 3 plus 5I. I'm going to have you guys do that really quick. Double distribution or window method for those of you that like the window method. Is this one where the middle terms cancel out? Yes or no? I see some yeses, some no's when people are nodding. I have 9 plus 15I, yes or no for the first part. And then I have positive 15I plus 25I squared, yes or no? Okay, 9, positive 15I, positive 15I, positive 25I squared. Do these middle terms cancel out? Yes or no? No. So it adds up, not I squared, it stays I. What does it add up to? And don't forget, positive 25I squared would become what? What does it become? Negative 25. So what's 9 minus 25? Negative. 9 minus 25 is negative 16. Plus 30I. Not 30I minus 16. Negative 16 plus 30I. Questions? Okay, that's it for this lesson. Take out your packets and let's get to work.